Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm Beatrix Snyman from Btrix Dsigns. Here you will learn how to master Tunisian crochet and much more. If you don't want to miss anything, remember to subscribe and hit the bell, or you can visit my website at www.btrixdesigns.co.za. Enjoy!
Can you believe we came to the end of our Patchwork Tunisian along? I really hope that you enjoyed it and that you learned a lot. Thank you to those of you that were actively involved and sharing your progress on our community Facebook group. And if you want to join us there, the link is below in the description. As we did a lot of things right, we also made many mistakes and can improve. And with this, I refer to myself, your host. So, if you have any suggestions for future Tunisian alongs that I will host for you, please leave me a comment. I'm also learning along the way, just like you. We never fully master anything in this life, so I will appreciate your input. Now, let's get on with our next and final part of this Tunisian along, part 6. Now you've finished your 2 panels and it's time to do the edge and the joining of these 2 panels. If you did the 2 panels as one, you will be fortunate enough to skip that part or that step and just do the border. But here on my original blanket that I did the design on, I can show you just what it will look like and what we will be doing with the edge and the joining as well. We will, just to get you prepared, we will work on both the panels or on your single panel, whichever you did during this time. We will do an edge in double crochet, American terminology, or your treble for the UK terminology crocheters. So we will do that right around both of the panels, and then after we did that, we will do a join in the reverse single crochet, which is also known as the crab stitch. And after we did the join with the crab stitch, we will finish off that edge right around with the reverse single crochet, and we will do both the join and the edge only in the back loop of that double crochet stitch that we edged the pieces right around. To work this round of double crochet stitches for the edge, we will use our 5mm hook that we did the blanket with. But if you find that the tension is a bit too loose, you can go down to a size 4mm, because this will be only conventional crochet and not Tunisian crochet, so you can use the standard hook size that is normally recommended for the yarn weight that you were using for your blanket. But I will use the 5mm hook that I did with the Tunisian crochet part, and I will show you on this panel. I edged it already with the double crochet stitch, and what I'm going to do here, I'm not really going to demonstrate to you how to work a double crochet stitch. I'm sure most, if not all of you, are familiar with conventional crochet and you are able to make and work a double crochet stitch, but I will just inform you and tell you what to look at and what we will be doing, especially at our corners. And I will just demonstrate a few stitches on my other panel for you, just for the start, so that you can see. But to demonstrate how the double crochet stitch is made, that I'm not going to do. So what you will do is, if I show you my other panel that is not edged yet, you will work in every stitch that has that familiar V formation like your conventional crochet stitches, because the way that you worked your last stitch on your forward pass and the way that your first stitch on your Tunisian crochet is formed, the way that you worked your foundation row in your foundation chain, and with the bind off of your slip stitch, it creates the same look right around your panel. So you will have these V's that is so familiar to you in crochet right around your edge. So we will be working the double crochet stitch in both these loops that's created by either the edges on the sides, or your chain, your foundation chain, or your bind off slip stitch, which give the V with the familiar back loop and front loop. In each one of them you will make one double crochet stitch right around. Let me demonstrate to you what I will do on my corner. I will work in my vanilla of the Eco Fusion range that I did the whole blanket in. I just love this yarn. I don't know how many of you were able to use this yarn and get hold of a kit, or buy some of these yarn at your local yarn shop, but I just love the texture and the look and feel of this Ecofusion yarn. So what I will do, I will start in my very first stitch in whichever corner. You can start in any corner. Now what I'm going to do, I left my yarn tail on the edge of my first panel, the yarn tail of my foundation chain, and that is the edge that I'm going to work in. This is actually the bottom edge where the foundation chain was done. And you remember that I left my slip knot open to use it as my first foundation chain. Now what I will do is I will start in that slip knot with a standing double crochet stitch. After I did my standing double crochet stitch in that very first stitch on any of the corners that you want to start, I will add a second double crochet stitch. So on all the first and the last stitches of all my edges, I will make 2 double crochet stitches. But in every other stitch, I will just add 1 double crochet. You can see I made my foundation chain a little bit tight, so my 5mm crochet hook struggles to get through those stitches a bit. I will continue this way up to the end of this first edge that I will work the double crochet stitches. Now when you came to the end of this first row of double crochet stitches on the first edge that you are working, you will work into the last stitch of that edge and you will make your 2 double crochet stitches into that stitch. Now this was the foundation chain that I just worked into, and you will find that that very last chain that you need to work is the one that goes with that first loop or the first stitch of your foundation row. And when you start with your foundation row, that chain stitch pulls very tight and close, so you might struggle to open it up a bit. You might even use a smaller hook size to make your last stitch just to get it done, because what is important that you need to really consider now is that the amount of stitches that you have on each edge must equal the same edge of the other panel, especially on the side where you will do your joining. Those edges are the most important. Otherwise your joining will not work out correctly, because you will have to work in equal amount of stitches for both the panels. So remember and consider that when you are doing your edges. Now to do my corner, I make 2 double crochet stitches, then I will just chain 1, and then on the very first stitch of my next edge I will add 2 double crochet stitches again. So my corners will consist of 2 double crochet stitches in the last stitch, 1 chain, and 2 double crochet stitches in the next stitch or the first stitch of the next edge that I will continue on. And then I will continue on that edge with 1 double crochet in each of the stitches, and the stitches will have that familiar V look that your conventional crochet also has. and I will continue like this right around until I get to the beginning of the edge that I worked. And even here in my last stitch on this edge, I will do 2 double crochet stitches, make a chain, end of my work, and then just join and close the round, because basically you're working in the round here. So that you will do with both your panels, and then we will continue with joining the 2 panels on a side of each panel. So it's only a side on the one panel and a side on the other panel that will get joined together, and then we will finish off the edge on the complete blanket, joint blanket, with the reverse single crochet. Here I came to the end of my last panel, and I am just going to show you how I'm going to end off this round, because I was working in the round here. I will make my last chain, then I will bind off, as I already did, my yarn that I was working with, and I will just pull the end through the loop that was on the hook. Now what I will do then, I will take my hook, insert it from the back underneath both the loops of my previous, or of my first stitch of this round. I will turn it to the back. It's just easier to do it this way, to turn it to the back and insert it, yarn over, and then I'll pull that tail through towards the back of that stitch. Then I will insert my hook just underneath the back loop of my last stitch that I made. In this case it was a chain. I will insert it from underneath, and from the back I yarn over that tail, and I will just pull it through to the back, and then my last stitch will, or my bind off, will look like a normal stitch. Here I came to working the last stitch of the last edge of my panel. I worked in the round. So now I have to finish off this round, and I'm going to show you how to do it in a nice, neat way. What I did here, I already cut off my yarn, my working yarn. So I have my tail of about between 8 to 15 centimeter. In this case, I will keep a 10 centimeter long tail just to work away. I will make my chain for this last corner. Then I will pull this tail through that loop that was on the hook. Now, on my second stitch that I made of the round, I will take my hook and I will insert it underneath that stitch from the back. I will take this yarn tail, I will pull it through to the back of that stitch. Then I will insert my hook from behind, from underneath that last stitch that I worked. In this case it was the chain for that corner, and I will yarn over and pull that yarn tail to the back. And what happens is that in this way it will look like exactly like the top of a stitch that I worked. And then I will just take this tail and sew it away nice and neat. Now that was the end of my final round. Here I've placed my two panels next to each other. Now this is the top part of panel 1 and panel 2. What we will do here, we will work a row of crab stitch or the reverse single crochet, but we will do that only in the back loops of both of these double crochet stitches that we worked around the edges of our panels. Now you can either start at the top part of your panels or at the bottom part. I just decided to do the top part here, and I will use my charcoal in the Eco Fusion that we used for working this panel. Now it depends on what yarn or what color you want to do the edge of your panels or your blanket, the whole blanket at the end. Now I will just start with a slip knot here, but what I want you to do is, I have a video on the reverse single crochet where I will show you two different methods of making the reverse single crochet. I prefer the traditional way, which is working into the opposite direction of what I will normally work. The reason for that is I found that making the reverse single crochet in that manner, the stitch is more stable and firm than the alternative way that I do show you on that video. Now that video, the link you can find below in the description bar. I marked it as the first video for you with the topic, the reverse single crochet stitch. So you can go and watch that video and look at the alternative way that I will demonstrate to you on that video, and you can choose whichever method you would like to use joining these panels. But I'm going to show you now how I'm going to join it by using the traditional reverse single crochet stitch. Place the backs of the two panels on top of each other, and then I will start by working in the corner chains of both these panels. What I will do is I will work only in the back loops of these panels. So on the front panel there is my back loop, and on the panel behind this one, I will refer to it as the back panel, there is the chain, and I will work only in the back loop of this chain. Now I will start with the slip knot, and then I will work a standing single crochet, and I will do that only in those back loops that I just showed you. Now I will do the reverse single crochet, the traditional version, and I will insert my hook into the back loop of the next stitch into the opposite direction of both these panels, and I will complete the reverse single crochet. There is the next back loop of the front panel and the next back loop of the back panel, and I will make my reverse single crochet. Now you can also see I keep my yarn tail on the center of these two panels so that I can work over my yarn tail. Now that is also personal preference, because I'm very lazy to sew away my yarn tails. I like to crochet them into my work or work them in this manner so that I have less of sewing to do on my work. Can you see that I continue catching only the back loops of both these panels? There's the back loop of the front panel, and the back loop of the panel on the back. And I will continue in this manner. Now let me show you what is happening here. When I open this up, you can see here on the front, there's the front loops of this, the front loops of the front panel and the front loops of the back panel unworked. So they are creating a frame, like a frame around these reverse single crochet stitches. Now that is kind of the idea. I like it because it gives a nice and neat round off on your work, working it this way. Now I will also continue working the reverse single crochet to join these two panels up to the next corner chains of these two panels, and then I will bind off. And when I've done that, the joining will be done, and then I will just complete in the same manner, working in only the back loops, the reverse single crochet right around the edge of this blanket to finish off the edge. Now you can just complete now the joining in the reverse single crochet. When you are done with the join in the reverse single crochet, you can start with the edge right around your blanket. And here I will start exactly in the same manner that I did with the join. I will start with a slip knot on my hook, and I will do a standing single crochet. And it doesn't matter really where you start on this, because on this edge you will just work in the back loop of each of these double crochet stitches, and also in the back loop of those corner chains that you have in the four corners that are left on your blanket. But when you come to the joining area, you will work in each of the double crochet stitches, and as you started in these chains, these corner chains, you will make a reverse single crochet in that chain where you started with the joining in the first panel, and you will make a reverse single crochet in the chain of the other panel, and just continue in the back loops of the double crochet stitches of the second panel. So you will basically work again on each stitch right around, including these chains in the corners, on the four corners of the blanket, as well as the chains, the back loops of the chains here where you started on your join. And when you are done with the edge of this blanket, you can decide if you think your blanket needs some blocking. But as you know by now, I do like blocking my projects because it just gives a better look, and it's really good for the yarn as well, to block your piece when you are done. So that will also, if you find that your edge is still curling a bit, it will help to eliminate that curl on the rest of your blanket. And yeah, that will be perfect for your final project, to make it nice and neat and give it a great appearance. And then you are complete and finished with your patchwork blanket. And I just want to thank you once again for joining this Tunisian along. I really hope that you enjoyed it.
enjoyed this video. If you found anything valuable, please share this with your crochet friends. Also, you can leave a comment if there's anything that you would like to see in the future. And remember to subscribe. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.